Hi guys, excellent evening. Hello, thanks for joining me tonight. Hello everyone. Hi. Oluwadamilola, how you doing? How you doing? So welcome once again to BC Talks. It's another day to talk about rape. It's another day to talk about the girl child, and I'm excited that you guys are joining me to have this conversation. We need to keep this conversation going. The silence is loud, very loud. A lot of people are shying away from talking about this, but I'm glad that we are here to keep the conversation ongoing. I'm doing amazing. Talk to Eki. Hi, Henry. Henry Ukoha, how you doing? I'm great. I'm doing amazing. Thanks. So I'm gonna be having a guest tonight, Ibitola Ujoye Adebayo. She is the author and founder of Lizzie Adams Initiative, and she'll be joining me to talk about rape. I'm going to be asking her questions, and the topic for today is the society's role in protecting the girl child. Yay, our guest is here. Yeah. Hi, hello. Ibio Adebayo official. Hi, excellent evening. I just waved you. So I was just giving an introduction. You can request to be in the video now so that we start. I was just giving an introduction of the topic for tonight and the fact that we all need to keep this conversation going. A lot of people are chickening out. A lot of people are silent about this, and let's not give up just yet. Let's keep pushing this. Let's keep talking about this. I'm glad you're here with me. So you can request to join the video now. Bitola, you can request to join the video. Fantastic. So I think the request is here. Here we go.
Hi.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Yeah, but I
How
think the
are you?
light is on your head, so it's casting shadows.
Okay.
Yeah.
How's that?
Okay, I think
How's
it's
that?
better now. I think it's better now.
How's that?
How you
It's
doing?
quite.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can switch off the light. It's still.
Sit.
I'll still
Okay.
roll up the
Or sit
blinds
somewhere
though.
else. Okay.
It's dark. Is it dark?
So sit first. I think this may work.
How's that?
I think it's better now.
Okay.
Yes, it is. So excellent evening.
Hello. Thanks
How
for
you
having me.
doing?
I'm fine.
How you doing? You're in the UK, I guess.
Yeah.
That's where you live. That's where you're based.
That's where I live. That's where I grew up.
Okay, that's fine. So how's the lockdown in the UK now?
It's actually getting better. We're getting released in batches, so we're going out
Okay,
bit by bit. Some shops are open, but
opening.
it's I
Okay,
went out today actually to do my MOT for my car, and it's not
okay,
that bad actually. A lot of
okay,
people are out and about.
okay. How's
Yeah,
the protection like? Are you having your face masks on?
Some
Your
people, it's not. Some people are. Some people don't.
okay,
Some people got gloves on.
okay,
But on public transport, you have to. I think there's a rule that you have to have it on
okay,
buses. But I don't take
okay,
buses. Yeah.
okay.
It's
That's
not.
fine. Yeah. So thanks for joining me. I'm really happy you decided to do this with me tonight. I've had other
Thanks for having
professionals
me.
come on board, and we have been
Okay.
trying our best to talk about it and keep the conversation ongoing because there's a lot of silence in
Yeah.
regards to rape. I don't know if you were aware of the rape cases we had in Nigeria recently. They were all over social
Oh yes.
media, where a
Oh yes.
student who went to read in the church was raped and then she died after a few days. And we've had
Hmm.
a girl in Jigawa State who was gang raped by 12 men. And we have had pockets of, cases like that. When you heard those cases, what did you make of it? What came to your mind? How did you feel about
I
it?
know. I felt. First of all, I felt sick to my core. I felt sick to the bone. But in a way, it's not new. It's just that nowadays we've got social media.
Mm,
It's these cases have always been there. It's just
mm-hmm,
now there's all eyes on it now because we've got social media, Facebook, Instagram. So a lot of
mm,
things are thrown out there now, whereby there's a lot of people can see things firsthand. They can see what's happened compared to no compared to back in the days where you can just maybe you read it in the paper, you read it in the paper or something,
yeah,
and
yeah.
sometimes you forget about it. But when you see these videos, sometimes you see the videos of interviews of the victims, going round and round on social media. I think now it's making a lot more impact, and now a lot more people are getting involved in the whole issue, which we all should, as a society, not to look away. I know it's an uncomfortable subject to talk about, but we
It
need to
is.
look at it, not look away. It's happening to not just our girls; it's happening to our boys, and it's causing major
Mm,
damages in the society. And
mm,
it's such a shame.
mm.
The church incident, just the church one, just made me really, really sick. You will feel that poor girl. Obviously, she's there thinking she will be safe, and she would
In
never ever think
church.
something like that it would happen to her in church, which
Hmm.
was, no, it was sick. That's
Hmm.
extremely, extremely sick.
Yeah. So,
So,
what do you expect us to, start doing in terms of educating the men that they actually have no right over a woman's body? Because I see a lot of entitlement flying around where they believe that you are the man, I'm the man, and you are the woman,
oh,
and you're
I
inferior to
paid your
me.
bride price.
Yeah.
And you should open up
Yes,
every
and if
time.
yeah, and even in the workplace, even though the men are not married to you in the workplace, they still see you as you're less than I am. So what sort of education do you think we should be putting out there to make everyone understand that you have no right over another person's body, whether you're a man or a woman?
First of all, they should understand the word no. No means no. You
No
know,
means no.
I
Yeah.
also think there's a different culture if you're coming from Nigeria compared to maybe in the Western society.
Okay.
And like, no, growing up, I spent 5 years in Nigeria as a teenager and in boarding school. But what you I don't know, something you've noticed as well, maybe growing up, being in Nigeria, I noticed that we girls normally, Nigerian guys normally are aggressive when it comes to, trying to date you. It's just the
Yeah.
way they are. It's the way they are,
Mm, mm.
And we Niger girls, we like to do shakara in a way. No, sometimes we like to kind of drag them on, like, oh no, you're not interested, you're not, But there are cases whereby you're genuinely not interested.
Interested.
You literally spelled it out, but they got this mindset that no, if they feel that if they continue bugging you,
You will change your
eventually
mind
say
along the way.
you change your mind along the way. So they don't really understand the word no. Get away from me. Get lost, because eventually it starts quite nicely. No, But the aggression when it comes to, oh, I feel I'm going to pester her, she eventually she's going to say no, you know. So there's that culture already in there when it comes to over there, if you get what I mean, in Nigeria.
Yeah.
So in a way, I think that's what also affects the how things are played out in Africa as a whole, you know, compared to the West. In same sexual abuse over here is quite rampant as well. It's quite widespread as well, especially among children and adults, you know. But I think as a whole, we need to understand that no, as no means no. But an unconsenting person, like a child, she's unable, that child is confused at that point in time. That child is unable to say no because the child will be scared out of their minds because they're now placed in a situation as a child whereby they've never been placed before. So they don't really understand that I can say no, you know, they're so
Yeah.
petrified. And they just kind of let things play out. And also depends on how the attacker and how the victimizer, you know, controls them. Because a lot of it is also control, isolation. You know, there's a lot of isolation, especially when it comes to children. Because that's why I try to make my girls. I have an NGO where I run for young girls, and try to make them understand. You know, the main thing is to educate them, open your mindset to things around you to make you a better person. You know, it's just making them aware of the different types of ways in which you can become isolated from your family, isolated from people, because that's the main things these abusers do anyway. They have to isolate, get you away from your family, make it look, first maybe it look as if your parents are the bad ones, or if you tell your parents, you know, I might do something to them or do something to your siblings. So there's that fear they've placed into these children, especially young girls. You know, there was a case here in the UK, I think in Birmingham, and there was like there was a bunch. These were mostly Asian men. When I mean Asian, not Chinese, I mean like kind of like Indian, Pakistani, that
Okay.
kind of
Okay.
men in Birmingham, whereby they recruit these young girls and they gang rape them, and it was an ongoing for years, and nobody knew what was going on. So this was a major thing on the news over here. So it happens a lot. A lot of it is isolating and getting them away from people around them.
Family.
You know, that get families that can notice if something is going on. But we need to know, we need to look out for these girls. We need to look out for ourselves as a society and look for the telltale signs of what's really out there, you know, in order to protect these girls. But yeah, sorry, I'm just rambling on, innit?
Whoa, this no. You're right. The analogy initially about Nigerian men being aggressive got to me because I remember in the university there was naturally I am very blunt and my word is my bond. So when I say yes, I mean yes, and I'll do whatever it takes to, not fail. And when I say no, I actually mean no. In fact, if you want to ask for something from me, and before you open your mouth, I already know the answer I'm going to give. If it's yes, it's yes. If it's no, it's no. I'm not changing my mind. So I remember this guy in the university who he happened to take I and my friend out because his friend was asking the friend was already on a date with my friend, and then I just joined them and he came along, and then he was asking me out and I said no, and he said I'm just doing shakara, that when he's ready, when he's really serious about it, I wouldn't have a choice than to date him. And I was like, hello, I'm not that type of girl. My no is my no. Like, I know if I'm going to have anything to do with you from the first time I see you. So it's just that aggressiveness that we have around here that, when I keep pushing, when I show I'm a man, when I don't give up, it's going to change. And I
It's gonna.
think yes, the blame shouldn't also be on them alone, because I remember you hear people say that a girl came to my room in the university, a girl came to my room and spent the night, and I didn't touch her. Now the girl goes back to the hostel and teases you and insults you, that's insulting the guy that you couldn't even cross the pillow. That guy is so useless, he can't even cross the pillow. So sometimes
Okay.
I think we need to start educating our women to be assertive, so that when they say no, they mean no, and they don't change their mind later. Because the men don't take us serious. They feel that at the end of the day, you will change your mind. So let me go to one of the problems I foresee. Let's take, for instance, in a country like ours, where we have a lot of child marriages, where there are certain states you go to from 11, 12, 13, you are married off to a man. What do you think we can start doing as a society? Because if we really need to start fighting rape, we need to fight from all angles. It's not just about somebody meeting a stranger and raping that person. It starts from, we have to look at issues like child marriages. We have to look at issues like at what age is a child or a woman allowed to go into the husband's house? At what age are you allowed to do certain things? So what do you, in your work, what do you see that we can do as a nation to start fighting against child marriages? Because as long as we still have men who believe they can sleep with an 11-year-old, 12 years, 13 years, rape will still continue.
Rape will still continue. Yes, when it comes to the child marriage thing, it's something, especially in Africa, is already ingrained into the culture. It's quite sad because these girls just need a chance to grow and to become somebody. A lot of it happens obviously in the north and stuff, but you also have to, we're also looking at, the kind of life they're living. Most of them are poor, and some of these parents are selling their kids out so that they can, so that I believe the men or whoever they've sold their child to, because it's still a form of and not just enslavement, you're trafficking your child so that you can. Did it cut off?
Network again today.
Did I cut off?
No, I can
BC?
hear you. It's no.
Oh, okay. And it's quite,
can you hear me?
It's quite sad because it's also in a way, it's also, you have to look at the parents, you have to educate the parent, but it's also ingrained into their culture, into their communities. They themselves grew up in it, so trying to get this out of get that system that's been ongoing for years. I'm sure that their parents went through it, their parents went through it, especially in some parts. It's quite hard to kind of enlighten them on the consequences of their actions. Like I said, some of the family are doing it for their own survival, not because they care about the child. They're doing it for their own survival in a way as well. So it's making them understand the consequences. They don't really understand what the damage this child will go through. And on top of that, you get some of them that go through genital mutilation. Apart from being forced to get married at such a very young age, that's already traumatic enough. Then they still have to go through FGM in that same process. You still get those. And I believe it's quite sad, but it's very hard. It's going to be a tough job, but I feel as a society we need to do it to try and get their mindsets out of that ongoing cultural process that's been going on for years. It's quite hard to get them, and and it's quite sad. Some of these girls commit suicide. I remember when I first came out into the limelight, when I came out with my first book, and I was doing a tour across Nigeria, and I went to the north. There was a girl. No, there was a girl. The reason I went to the north, I had a Facebook message from a particular girl, in the north, Zainab, and she was going through this process whereby her mum was planning to marry her off, to this man who's had who already had 6 wives, you
Jesus.
know, and she was only 13. And she first, apart from wanting someone to talk to, she needed somebody to help her. She needed somebody to please talk to my mother.
Oh,
You know,
God.
I don't want to, I just want to go to school. You know, she said she loved maths. She loved maths and she just wanted to have a future, but she feels if she gets married off to that man, she's not going to have a future, like so many of the girls she sees around her. And that really got to me. That really, when I look at myself, coming from a more privileged background than her, and not going through something like that, but having somebody as young, especially, I also had a daughter. I also have a daughter who's, she's 14 now. So I just can't imagine my daughter going through,
At
because
that age. Oh, God.
at that age, I encourage my daughter to talk. I have 3 girls and a little boy now, but I encourage, especially my elders, to talk to me about anything. Even her, she talks a lot more to her dad. She tells her dad everything, but I encourage. I just grew up in a household whereby my mum still doesn't. My mum still never said much. we all went. I always went to my dad, so my mum still never said. She wasn't really a lovey-dovey kind of mum. Very, stone face. Sometimes she played, sometimes she didn't play. That kind of thing.
That's me.
So, okay, I realize that's me now, actually. But looking back,
Oh,
I think I kind of need to change that mindset,
yes,
because
yes. I'm
I
changing it.
think my husband and my daughter, they have like proper
They have a
conversation.
bond. Yeah.
Yeah, deep conversation, about, things that's deep. And I'm like, okay, I want to have that. But it's just that it's the way I grew up,
Yeah.
the way I grew up with my mum, and I wanted to change that. So I tried to, encourage her, ask her, what she thinks about things like this, to get her point of view, But like I said, it was quite sad, because my daughter had somebody she can talk to and a mother that understands, but when you have a mother that doesn't really understand, all they know is that thing. This is all I know.
Tradition.
And
Yeah.
trying to
This is how it's
convince
been.
that mother or father that you can go in, you can go in a different direction for your daughter by, bringing her up, you know, boosting her up, educating her. Where that predicament you think you're in now, she can be your saving grace. If you think, oh, I sell it off, for that short term gratification, that short term, oh, we need to eat now. We need to, we need help now. So we need to sell off a daughter. We need to get rid of a daughter. We need to, in a way, some don't value girls anyway. So that's why it's so easy to bundle them off somewhere.
Yeah.
They just
So
see
true.
them as something we can sell off somewhere, or
To
something we
help
can send off
ourselves.
somewhere
Yeah.
to help ourselves. So they don't really value. So actually educating these, especially the mothers, come on, you carry these girls for 9 months, this child for 9 months, don't you want the best for her? I don't know. It really saddens me. I didn't know. I went to visit the girl, but you can see that it's ingrained in the society she was in, and it's not something you can start enlightening the mother over, because you're gonna have an issue, you
Yeah.
know. So which
You
was
will.
quite, and it was quite sad. Yeah, it was quite sad. It was quite sad. And there's
So
so many
so many
like that.
stories like that, and we live,
Oh, yeah.
we see it here, we live here. Yeah. So I'm not going to ask you if the society is protecting the girl child enough, because I already know your answer.
and we all know the
Mhm.
answer. But what more do you think we can do to protect these girl children? What more can we do? What can the government do? What can parents do? What can anything you can just think of that we can,
Uh,
start put on our green heart and start thinking about ways to ensure that we protect every child. Every child deserves, every girl child deserves the right to life, the right to education, the right
mm.
to everything good. What more can we do as a society?
Uh, I think, in a way, mm, what we need to do, we must confront this. We must confront what's going on and take collective responsibility as a society. That's what,
Yeah.
to protect this, um, protect the girl child, by acknowledging that these things happen each and every day.
Mm.
It happens all around us, and we have to talk about it and acknowledge it. As a society, as a society, the society's silence in a way on child abuse
It's loud.
really protects the victims. It
Mm.
doesn't really protect
It protects the perpetrators and not the
yes, the
victims.
perpetrators, the
Yeah.
victimizers. Yeah, the victimizers doesn't really protect the victims. And I think breaking this societal silence, breaking it, will change the language we use to currently promoting shaming and
Mm.
secrecy. If we break
Mm.
it, um, in a way, there's an assumption that victimizers are sick and weirdos, and the victims are damaged goods.
Mm.
And however, sexual offenders are not just pedophiles. They're not just sick individuals. They're not just weirdos, but they are ordinary, and I mean ordinary family members
People. Mm.
and friends, neighbors. You know,
Relative.
they have to be friends. Yeah, they're relatives. Majority of the time, that's where it happens. Growing up. So child protection cannot be just placed on authorities. It needs to be placed on all of us as a whole. And we all, in a way, need to have courage to act on things we see, around us, things we see in our community. We all need to kind of like look at the issue head on and not look away, and speak out a lot more. There's some things you see and you just went, oh, it's not my business, and you
Mm.
just kind of like, and and there's a girl out there crying for help. It's shown in her eyes, it's shown in her body, it's shown in every inch of her. But sometimes as a society, we choose not to see it and we just look away. I don't know.
It's
It's
not.
sad.
We have this. It's not my business. It's not my child. As long as it's not my child,
It's not.
it's not my
It's
family
not. That's
member.
not.
It doesn't
Yeah.
affect me. So please, I don't want to get involved. So what I hear you
Yeah.
say now is that we need to get to a point where we are involved. It doesn't have to be your
Yeah.
child. You don't have to wait around until it comes to your family member. You see it on the streets. You notice that there was a particular case I heard sometime, I think about last year, where I think it was the cousin or an uncle came to school to pick up these kids, and the teacher was observing, and I think she saw him like tapping the children on their butt or something like that, and she raised an alarm. So when
Okay.
I heard that story, I was like, this is what we all should be doing. You don't feel
Oh yeah.
because it doesn't affect me, it's none of my business. And then they had to start questioning him. Why are you touching the girls like this? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And they called the parents, and it was a big case in a school. So we need to pay attention, from what I hear you
Yeah.
say, to what's
Yeah.
happening in
A
our
lot.
environment. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you, sometimes we talk about this rape and it seems like we're talking over the head of the victim. Nobody's really settling down to ask, how do we care for a victim or a survivor of rape after the incident? We just talk about justice, talk about, or we ignore and try to be quiet about it, or we shame and stigmatize. But then we're not asking what sort of questions do you think we should ask the victim? What sort of care do you think we should give the victim of rape? Anyone who comes out to say, I have been raped, what sort of care do we start? What sort of attention do we give to such people?
Definitely, they need counselling for one.
Counselling.
It's quite hard keeping all that in. So they need bottling all that in. So things need to come out. So definitely having, funded, a healthcare system whereby, there's counselling available, a fair justice system, especially in Nigeria, when there isn't much of a justice system when it comes to this type of acts. Giving them, and hearing these victims out, and provide also, the government being able to provide, education, because, education in this kind of, when it comes to child protection. And, these victims, they need to have a place to go. They need to have a number to call. Just like how it is over here.
A number to call, yeah.
In the Western society. Sorry, what did you say?
No, I said you said they need to have. I was reiterating what you said.
Yeah, they should have
a place to go, a number to call.
Yeah, a number to call. To call, and yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, what do you say? How do we encourage victims to break their silence? Like the stories I'm hearing these days, a rape happens and you don't say anything until 20 years down the line, which makes it very difficult for even the law to, give you justice, because every trace of evidence is gone, especially in a country where we don't have data. What sort of support do we give to people out there to come out when they have been raped? I know that the society is good with stigmatization and silence. Do you get the question? Hello?
Sorry, it kept cutting out. It literally cut out throughout your whole speech.
Okay,
I didn't.
I'm saying, how do we encourage victims to come out, to break the silence and speak out? Did you get that? Did you get that? Hello? Hello?
Oh, it's how to encourage the victims to come out.
Yes, and speak out.
And making sure that they letting them understand they will be heard, because a lot of them feel they don't feel confident asking for help in the first place. Okay. So being able to ensure that if they ask for help, they will be helped. Because a lot of these victims they believe they'll face there's repercussions from their attackers. My parents won't believe me. So even victim blaming, by parents, even parents do that as well. Why? What were you doing there in the first place? If you didn't go to that uncle's place, victim shaming, victim blaming, So, in order for these girls, these victims to come out, as a society, we need to show them that we're there for them, so that they feel confident in opening up. If these things are in place for them, the victims will open up. But if they feel there's nothing for them in the society, I can't tell my parents, I can't tell my guardians, I can't tell the authorities, because nobody will believe me, or they'll shame me, or they'll believe it's my fault. But letting them understand that it's not your fault, and there is help for you, either through the authorities or through the healthcare services. Yeah.
Awesome. That's good. I'm thinking I like to prevent incidents from happening, which sometimes as humans, you may not be able to. So what sort of advice would you give to young girls? You know, the very little children, they are helpless. There's no advice you give to them than just talking to them about their body parts, sex education. Nobody should touch your this and touch your that. But for those younger girls who are now able to speak, who now can have conversations, who are teenagers, young women, what sort of things would you tell them in terms of prevention? How best can they protect themselves? Like being able to fight back. What sort of techniques do you think every young girl should be equipped to have in order to protect themselves from rapists?
Definitely, first of all, they need to understand what rape really is. You know, if they don't understand what rape is, the concept of rape, the different types of rape, because some of them don't even know they've been raped. There are different types of rape. There are different types. So making them understand what those different types are, you know, making them understand that, oh, you know, sometimes going somewhere in a group is better than going alone. Not sitting on an uncle's lap. If an uncle says, "Come and sit on my lap," you know,
say no.
You should have that. There should be that distance, you know. And sometimes just because obviously mode of dressing, but that doesn't really mean just because I dress a certain way, I deserve to be raped, you know. But also mode of dressing is also important, but it doesn't justify that you should be raped because of that. Do you get what I mean? But I think more expanding their minds a lot more in the whole concept of rape. That will empower them a lot more. You know, when you go to parties, you know, don't just be handed a drink by someone. Don't just leave your drink somewhere.
You need to know the content of the drink.
You need to know your content of the drink. Don't just, or don't go off dancing and leave your drink there and then come back thinking, okay, I'm going to take another sip. You don't do that. I grew up understanding that. I went to university understanding that. I can never take a sip of a drink in a club, for example, and go back to that drink. You know, also know your limits when you're out and about. When it's, especially for teenagers that go to parties and they drink alcohol. Know your limits.
Know your limits.
Know your limits. If you don't know your limits, I don't drink. But for those who do, know your limits. You know, that's very important. Don't just go off with somebody you've just met for the night. You know, we always have precautions. These are for teenagers that should know better. You know, if an uncle calls you to the door, I want to send you somewhere, and he says you come into his room so that he can give you the money so you can go somewhere. No, you can give it by the door. If you want me to send me somewhere, if it's something I have to do.
Why are you even sending me?
Sending stuff? But you have some communities where
you can't question that.
Yeah. So why do I have to come into your room to collect the money?
I remember, I think it was last term when my daughter's teacher, my daughter was 10 then, she's 11 now, asked her to sit on his laps. And she said, no, I will not do that, and walked away. Immediately she got home, she didn't tell me. She went straight to the father and told the father that my teacher asked me to sit. I was mad. I turned the whole school upside down. How dare you? That's for me, that was grooming. So he was trying to test his boundaries. Yes. Yeah. And I made sure that he lost his job. Like, you can't do that. You can't be in that environment. And because my daughter is actually quite big. She looks 13 or 14 or 15, and she's just 11. So a lot of things just went through my head that we need to, educate our children more. We need to talk to them more. We need to give them that confidence. I tell my children, your mommy is not afraid of anybody. If anybody tells you or threatens you that they are going to deal with you if you tell me. Tell them my mommy is a lioness. Tell them that. And my mommy will tear you to pieces. Yes.
Good one.
And then put that fear in the heart, because it saved me. I would have been molested growing up. I remember having a father's friend come into the house, and he spent some days, and in the midnight, I just see somebody standing beside me and was, you know, like jerking off while I'm sleeping.
Oh, God. Wow.
Yes, I think I was 16 then. So I woke up that day because I know my father would have torn him to pieces. And I called him and I told him, you see what you just did? If you don't leave today, I'm going to tell my dad, because my father will kill you. I was his only girl and he was vicious. Everybody knew that. And I had that confidence that my father will totally kill him. And I said, if you don't leave the house now, I will tell daddy. And he packed his things and he left. And I didn't say a word. My father had no idea. He's late now. Until today, my father doesn't know this story. But the confidence I had was what helped me to threaten him. And if he didn't leave that day, I would have actually reported to my father. So we need a lot of education. We need to, you know, help our children. But I am even more concerned, and I want to ask you this question. We have women who are aware that their husbands are sleeping with their daughters. And in the name of protecting that marriage, they stay there. They don't do anything about it. We've had cases every day of people who their fathers had impregnated and their mothers were aware. What do you have to say about it? What sort of advice would you give to it's not advice. What do you have to say to mothers like that? First of all,
Oh, God.
What should be done to mothers like that when people eventually find out?
First of all, mothers like that really grind my gears. Like, seriously, they grind my gears. I can't stand things like that, because you know, not that you suspect.
You know.
There are cases where you know this is what's happening to your baby girl, and you do nothing because you want to save your marriage. What marriage? What should be more important to you than that child you carried in you for 9 months? That child you protected you protected up to this stage of her life, and somebody that's supposed to love and care for her, is just destroying her. Just destroying her. Has destroyed her, and you're not saying anything. When these things come out to the limelight, they're part of the problem, and they all should be taken away with the perpetrators as well. I'm sorry. Even obviously, if the kids, they need their mothers or their parents, whatever, a guide. But in this situation, you didn't do that child any benefit
at all.
They at all. So they need to face the full arm of the law.
They should be punished.
They should be punished as well, because some of them, there are cases whereby there's also abuse going on with the mother, when it comes to, the partner also abusing the woman,
Domestic
and
abuse,
so sometimes out of fear, she's scared, so they keep quiet. But that strength, I can't imagine, God forbid, something like that with my tormented. I will scatter everything. I don't even care. Everything will be scattered. So I can't imagine.
I really want to understand what marriage you're saving.
There was an incident. I don't know if you heard about it in Nigeria it didn't happen in Nigeria, it happened in Austria, of this man and there's quite a couple of them like that, but there was one particular very popular one whereby these two couples, they had kids, but there was one particular daughter. What he did was he locked her up in the basement, in a basement where he built this basement underneath the house, and he locked the girl away in there since she was like maybe 12
I heard that story
or so. And she was there for years, and he had kids by her, and the mother knew, and he was raping her, and she was having children. Some of the children died because he never got treatment. You know, he never got her care. He was just abusing. This was his own flesh and blood. He abused for years,
That
for
man
years
is
until
sick.
she was sick. And you had a mother. Her mother knew this whole thing was
Hey,
going on, but because she was scared
care
of
of
her
what?
husband, scared of
Hey.
what? And you knew all this year, but you tell the authorities the girl ran away. So
Oh God.
they searched for the girl when it first happened, but eventually, when they couldn't find her, they gave up. Not knowing this girl was in that house, and the mother knew. How sick can you be?
How sick can you
You
be?
are sick as your husband. You are both part of the problem, and they're both. And in cases like that, they both have to feel the full arm of the law. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Social services can take the children.
Yeah, social services take the children. You know, but
These are very
God help us.
heartbreaking,
Yeah,
heartbreaking
very
stories.
heartbreaking.
Like, yeah, you hear such stories and you're wondering, where am I? What on earth is happening? Am I living with human beings or mad people or animals? You know, it's really painful. I'm also
Mm.
concerned about the do they call them disabled person? There's something they call them, so you don't sound abusive. I'm trying to get the right words, but and the vulnerable in the society, because I remember
Yeah.
growing up, we had all these deaf and dumb, all these blind people who they were being raped several times. They have children, they don't know the fathers and all of that. What sort of
Mm.
protection do you think we can give to people, especially those ones around us? How do we look out for them? How do we ensure that miscreants and evil people are not taking advantage of them?
Definitely, we have to look at, some of these are already maybe in homes already. It
Mm.
depends on the environment they're in. If they're actually in their own home
Mm-hmm.
and that's happening, that's what I'm saying. Some of these, the people that are around them need to be educated. Like if it's a
Mentally
parent,
challenged
if it's a parent,
individuals. Somebody
you
just
have
told
to
me the
be
right word.
aware. Oh, okay. You have to be
Yeah.
aware. If they
Okay.
are in care homes, for example, because a lot of this also happen in care homes, whereby
Okay.
these vulnerable people in the site are, apart from maltreated, they are being abused in various ways. But having definitely when it comes to those kind of environments, having full on inspections, having,
Okay.
you know, when it comes over here, for example, you have a register for sexual offenders.
Yeah.
So if you
Yeah.
apply for jobs, you
They'll
know,
check check the list.
they will check especially when it comes to vulnerable. They will check if you're a registered sex offender, but you don't have things like that. Do you
No, we
even
don't
have
have that here.
over there? There's no system.
Mm. Mm.
There's no system. We can't just log into a computer now and search a database in Nigeria.
No.
There's
No.
no lights all the time,
Mm.
half of the time,
There's no diesel,
and
no fuel.
there's no, and a lot of it also has part of people to blame is the government. They also need to take responsibility of certain things in the society.
They're thinking about elections, really.
All they do is about elections and how they can steal more money. That's all they
Yeah.
ever think about in
And
that
hold on to
country.
power.
And it's so
Yeah.
sad. It's really sad, because Nigerians, we are very, very intelligent people.
Yes, we are.
Nigerians. I'm sorry, no, but when you have certain people that just give us a bad name, all you care about is what you can put in that tummy of yours, what you can eat. You don't care about anybody else, and that's what's affecting us. That's what's affecting the society, because if the government takes full on responsibility, then the local government should be able to follow suit. But when everything's all the same from the top to the bottom, what's the point?
Yeah. Thank you so much. You've been amazing. Finally, before I let you go, because we just have
Yeah.
like 10 more minutes, but I don't think
Okay.
we'll finish that. So finally, before I let you go, what's your initiative about? What do you do there?
Oh, Liz, I create a platform called the Lizzie Adams Initiative,
Okay.
and is a platform to educate, inspire, and empower the girl child in being the best they can be in the society, opening their minds to what's out there. And we are in Ikeja, Olowu Street, 49, number
Oh,
49, Olowu Street in Ikeja.
lovely.
So you
Okay.
should, guys, you check us out. Yeah. Um, but it's basically a platform just to kind of educate and inspire them, and it's
Okay.
a platform solely for girls between the ages
Okay.
of 6 to 18.
Wow.
This year
Do
we
they
are
do they
looking
get to
to,
register? Do parents register
yes,
their girls?
they can register. Our website is www.lizzieadams.com,
Okay. The
and
Adam.com.
they can register. And there are different grades. We have bronze, silver, and gold. So there's
Okay.
different categories in the registration, and
Okay.
we offer different things in their developmental growth.
Hmm.
We educate them. We're also on Facebook, and we are on Instagram,
Hmm.
Lizzie Adams, and we're on Facebook, Lizzie Adams Initiative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they should check us out.
Okay, I will. I will. I'll put it down there. I'll check you out and see what you guys offer. Then I'll put it out there. And
Yeah.
I want to say thank you so much for
Oh, thanks
joining
for
this
having me. I had
conversation.
fun.
Yes, thank you so much. A conversation that a lot of people are running away from. So anyone who
Oh,
comes up to
yes.
say, let's have this conversation, I'm
Yeah.
always very excited. Thank you so much. You've been really insightful. I would request for some of your pictures so that I can post your nuggets. So we just
Oh,
keep
okay.
pushing the information out there
Okay.
and hopefully
Oh, lovely.
change the narrative. Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you.
by
I'm
God's
really
grace.
glad to have you. Yeah, that is
Thank you.
Ibitola Ojoye Adebayo. She's an
Bye,
author
everyone.
and she's the founder of
Yeah.
Lizzie Adams Initiative. Bye.
Bye. Thank
All right
you.
then. Yeah. So guys, thank you so much for joining me today on VC Talks. And this conversation is not going anywhere. We're still going to be having the conversations, and at least we can have once a week or twice a week. I was thinking twice a week, but I think I would likely have to spread it so that we prolong the conversation as much as we can, as long as we can, to ensure that the message is out there. But if you follow me on my page, you see that I'll be posting nuggets from the speakers. I'm doing flyers and artwork for them. So all of their nuggets I will highlight and post it on my Instagram page. That at least we'll have like 1 or 2 nuggets every day so that we keep reminding ourselves that this is a collective responsibility for everyone. Okay. And you can also follow me on YouTube. This video I'm going to repost on YouTube. Bisuch TV, BISUCH TV on YouTube. You can have access to all the videos, all the guests that come on board to talk about this. All right. I'll see you again next week. I'm really very tired. I've been busy doing my personal business since yesterday and I haven't rested. So I think I'll rest for a few days before I come your way again. Thank you so much for being a part of this. I love you all. See you guys. And for those of you who've been asking why I've not been on TV, it's COVID-19, no, but I'll be there tomorrow. And I promise to come with fire back to back. All right, guys.